doing the project and stuff now. Obviously today is the launch of the SUMR token officially for trading, and so on. It's 51 weeks since the token launch, so super close to the 1 year anniversary. So we're just going to talk very briefly at the start of how we can support the TGE, exactly what's going to be happening, where you can find it, the exact timings, and so on. Secondly, we'll kind of do a quick reminder around farming and using SUMR. So where can you earn SUMR? How can you still earn SUMR? What can you do with that SUMR once you've got that SUMR? Like where can you participate? Obviously, there are different things and you can do. There's a number of new avenues as well opening up once the token starts trading as well, like supplying LPing and so on. We'll give a quick update on Hyper EVM. Obviously, that deployed last week now, but we'll have a quick recap of that. It's already at between 4 and 5 million, so a really, really awesome launch there. And then also a DAO managed vaults update as well. For those that haven't seen the forum, Block Analytica posted a framework proposal earlier today. So yeah, I think we've got DeFi Nicola here to come and talk about that a little bit. We'll then cover about what comes next, so some of the next kind of immediate post-TGE priorities, and then, like I said, open the floor up to community discussion. But if anybody wants to jump in, please just stick up your hand, post a message or whatever, and I'll try and hand over straight away. But yeah, I think let's just jump straight in. Obviously, the main thing today is obviously the SUMR token starts trading. This is obviously a conversation we've been having since June in the forum, early June, when we launched when the protocol launched in like February last year and the token launched in January last year. Obviously, there was a non-transferability fixed minimum date of July the 1st, and we also had a lot of big conversations within the community. And I personally am super happy of where we've kind of got to. Of course, we had some delays, and some of those delays were kind of were unfortunate. But with the new staking module, with the USDC rewards and some rewards now coming to SUMR stakers, with the revenue share going to SUMR stakers, and kind of with the aerodrome ignition stuff set up, I think it's a huge opportunity now to launch what kind of has been described in some of the blog posts and so on that have been put out, obviously, as one of the most productive DeFi, one of the productive tokens in DeFi. There are not many that have the utility of SUMR and then the kind of like sharing in the economical benefit of the protocol as well. So as a reminder, obviously the SUMR token starts trading at 0100 Central European time on the 22nd, so later tonight. So that's midnight UTC, so evening across the US time zones, and then obviously middle of night, very early morning across kind of Europe, and then kind of like probably super early morning as you start heading towards like Asia and so on. So that is kind of from a timings point of view, but I also want to try to be like kind of clear up front, like supporting the TGE does not necessarily mean hyping the price. There are a variety of different things we can all do here and so on. I think it's going to be critical from a community members' point of view as well, that like we're not seen there to be making promises or speculating heavily and so on and things like that. Like what you won't see from the team or like from myself or anything like that is kind of like teasing things that we don't think are realistic or anything like that. But as a community, I think we have a really, really strong job to strong potential to spread the news far and wide, hype up the token, talk about its utility, kind of make factual things and so on. But yeah, accurate information, correct expectations and so on. Twitter is obviously full at the moment of stuff around the kind of troves stuff like that happened like in the last day or two and things like that. So I know I think we've got Jordan here today, who obviously kind of wrote an amazing blog post and so on, and like you've written clearly about why aerodrome ignition was chosen, and like I wonder if you can just jump in if possible from your perspective, like what should the community be focusing on around the SUMR token launch, like the communication wise and things like that. And if you're able to jump in and just share some thoughts there.
Yeah, sure. So I think the blog post that you're referencing is the why you want to earn SUMR before TGE. Is that right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, kind of just talking about SUMR, like what people should expect from SUMR and so on. So
yeah. So basically, with respect to the TGE, obviously happening today, I think most people are focused on the token itself, which is obviously incredibly important. But one of the key things I think is really the underlying sort of fundamental value of the protocol itself. So another blog post that was released, I think just last night, was looking back at all of literally every single rebalance that has happened since the protocol launched. And, you know, for me, that's really reflective of the sort of underlying, I'll post it in the chat here, reflective of the underlying value, you know, that the protocol creates. For example, in times of, you know, more where market conditions are really favorable, you know, you're getting access to all the best stuff. In times when market conditions are, you know, more stressed, you know, the protocol is automatically pulling back risk, which is something you know, you'd have to do manually in other cases. Now, well, why does that matter with respect to the TGE? Well, that matters because you know, when you're talking about the token, when you're promoting the token, for lack of a better word, ultimately you're promoting and talking about the protocol and the way in which people can earn the token and also stake the token, because revenue, USDC revenue specifically, is coming from where else but protocol TVL. And as we see on the screen here, you know, we have about 100 million in TVL. We'd like to see that, you know, 200, 300, 400, 500, a billion in TVL, which obviously has incredible implications for the underlying token. So this is just a really long-winded way, I think, of saying that, talking about the long-term sustainability and the core benefit and the core utility of the protocol for users and the benefits that it provides for users, or maybe even yourself as a user. I know I can speak for myself personally as a user, is reflective of the core value of the token as well. And that is, I think, also specifically when you can start talking about the tokenomics, because the tokenomics of the SUMR token have really been thought about deeply to be highly correlated and highly reflective of the underlying protocol value. And that is specifically coming from, as TVL goes up, more revenue is sort of routed to SUMR stakers. And this is like a really positive flywheel of SUMR stakers benefiting from TVL going up, you know, SUMR holders benefiting from more SUMR being staked as the incentive to stake goes up, because obviously you're getting more of the revenue share from you know, TVL going up, and then TVL obviously impacting the sort of net fees that are going to stakers, and then that sort of supply shock of SUMR obviously helping the underlying price of SUMR to go up. So I would say those are all, you know, things that are really correlated to each other, and it's just something that has been thoughtfully put together, and it has sustainable long-term not only value but also utility. And I think in DeFi that's just something that is incredibly rare with, I think, everybody here and anybody who's listened to this that's in DeFi or in crypto more broadly. You know, there are a lot of things that are just flashes in the pan, pump and dumps, or just have absolutely no utility whatsoever. So I think that, you know, focusing on the underlying utility, the long-term sustainability, these are really, really important things with respect to the token. So yeah, I mean, it's a bit long-winded, but happy to dig into any other details with respect to the protocol or the SUMR token, or the Ignition launch specifically.
Cool. Thank you very much. Jordan, if anyone wants to jump in, yeah, please just raise your hand and we'll let you in to give you the mic. But yeah, as Jordan said, like we're launching on Aerodrome Ignition there, and obviously Aerodrome Ignition is all about fair price discovery, not pumps. The Aero voters control emissions, and kind of on that note, obviously the foundation and the DAO obviously voted to provide 3% of the supply to be Aero voters for the Ignition program, what that's resulted in already is we're now got the fourth highest number of votes for directing emissions to aerodrome and stuff on there so far. So the only pools higher than some of USDC pool right now are just the kind of big standard pools. So WETH USDC, the USDC Aero, and WETH CBTC market. So SUMR is going to be right up there with a huge amount of aero emissions, which obviously is going to mean SUMR launches with liquidity, not after the fact. So we've got that there, and so on. And if you've kind of seen in the night as well, the announcement that the SUMR token is also going to be supported on the MEXC centralized exchange as well. That starts trading 1 hour after the aerodrome ignition launch on there. So again, the fair price discovery will occur on aerodrome in that first hour, and so on, and then we'll start to see much kind of wider trading occurring. Kind of talking of the trading as well. The vote to enable transferability has passed. Is awaiting execution. So everything is set up, everything is ready to go. Kind of like no turning back from this moment. I'm sure there are some community members that feel like there still could be a kind of 11th hour change and so on, given some of the delays that occurred and some of the frustrations, which I completely understand from some people and so on. But everything is ready to go, and the execution of the transferability now can be done 2 minutes before trading time, and that's completely permissionless as well. So anybody who wants to enable that transferability can execute that vote. The foundation will then follow through as well with that, or should follow through with that, enabling it on the other chains as well. And obviously at that point, then obviously it starts going live. Obviously, SUMR is not fully unique. It's kind of similar to Morpho. Or Morpho obviously did a new token that would have to be claimed at the kind of transferability. But obviously, SUMR, we already have I think like 9,000 to 10,000 holders of SUMR across various chains and so on. Like the SUMR token is obviously already out there. There's about 400 million, or up to 400 million technically in circulating supply, and over 20% of that is currently staked inside the new staking V2 module as well, which is obviously really fantastic and so on. If you are a SUMR holder, though, obviously one of the big things you can go and do if you're not staking that SUMR is obviously go and provide additional liquidity and LP liquidity. Obviously, if you do on aerodrome in return for aerodrome tokens and incentives as well. But I think this is this is a really exciting time. Obviously, it's been like the project's been going for a long time. And obviously the project started with the raise campaign a couple of years ago, led to SUMR being deployed beginning of last year, which just feels like such a long time ago. And now SUMR starting to trade in just under 12 hours now. So yeah, super exciting. And I hope everyone can hopefully be ready and see it all happening. Does anyone have any questions from the community? Want to add anything else, add any context that may have been missed on there? Cool. We then also got the Arcadia proposal that I believe is actually finalized and ready to be executed tomorrow morning, which is a SUMR liquidity management base. So so that has passed. Its governance vote is available for execution tomorrow morning at 8:30 UTC. So I believe we actually have Thomas here on the call. I don't know if you want to jump in and give us a quick update on what the community can expect kind of from tomorrow on that, and kind of major next steps.
Yes, sure. I think first of all, we first let Aerodrome Ignite play out the price discovery. So the vote is indeed ready. We will already set up the account, but in the first 24 hours, the protocol owned liquidity will not be activated yet. I think that's important to note. Also to know then that Aerodrome Ignite, we purely rely on the liquidity sourced through Aero Ignite in the first 24 hours. That's all as written in the proposal, and then exactly 24 hours, wherever price is then, we'll set the initial position, and it will be very broad, meaning it will behave like a basic pool, so liquidity all over the range. The advantage here is that we still allow for a lot of price discovery. It will have limited impact on the inventory. Downside is, of course, that the liquidity will be very thin by the protocol. And the goal is then over the next weeks, as price stabilizes, to make that position narrower. That the position also provides the deeper liquidity and gets some extra of the IRO rewards. I think from our side, we're just waiting now for the vote to be executable, but I don't see any blockers on our side. If there are any additional questions, of course, then feel free to ask here in the call.
Cool. Thank you very much. Super exciting. I think this is, really, really great. And I think it's, just all in all, I think we've got like the kind of whole like kind of aerodrome flywheel being set up. And then I know then obviously then we've got the kind of aero position stuff, purchase stuff all being set up to kind of be ready to go on chain as a vote as well very soon as well. So that the whole aero flywheel is super exciting there. So thank you, Thomas, then for that. So if there are no comments or questions from the community on those next steps, we'll move on to the second part. Is kind of like farming and using SUMR. So kind of like where to participate and what to watch out for, and so on. So this probably generally is like a repeat of a lot of stuff we've talked about in the past and so on. But really just for those that might be slightly newer or coming across the token for the first time and joining the community calls and things like that, or listening back. But there are ultimately 3 distinct ways people can interact with SUMR post TGE. Brian, maybe you want to chime in. Brian, I was actually going to do it for what's next because I know it's not gone to vote yet, but maybe if I can grab Brian for the kind of what's next bit, that'd be great on their agency. So obviously so farming and raising to it. So like I said, there's 3 ways to ultimately get involved with SUMR and interact with SUMR post TGE. So basically from tomorrow onwards. Obviously, we've got the first 2, which is how you use it today, which is obviously earning it through the vault deposits. So there are still vault rewards. The current vault rewards continue till the 9th of February, I believe. I actually think there'll probably be some RFCs and SIPs going up very shortly to propose the next set of some rewards, probably dependent a little bit on where the price lands and the FDB lands on there, showing what the vault reward yield is. But the other way, obviously, is locking it in via governance V2 and staking V2. That obviously earns you additional SUMR rewards, gives you voting power, and gives you access to the protocol revenue through USDC rewards and so on. And then obviously the next one is provide liquidity, probably initially and primarily through Aerodrome at the very start. As well, over the next weeks, I'm sure there'll be more markets and stuff and DEX stuff opening up and things like that. But you'll be able to then provide liquidity on Aerodrome as well. So there's the first 2 the first one is how you earn SUMR. The second one is how you earn additional SUMR by utilizing your SUMR, and obviously the third one is obviously then utilizing your SUMR to provide advanced liquidity to market, and then obviously earn other tokens such as Aero tokens on that. What's important to note is these are not interchangeable, and they do carry different risk profiles and so on. So. I don't know if Jordan, you want to jump back in again, possibly if you are here to walk through kind of like what productive participation looks like versus what people should be careful with. Otherwise, I can just kind of jump in a tiny little bit more explanation. Otherwise, particularly around Aerodrome and so on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward especially with respect to the first 2. I think those are like. They're just vanilla ways to participate. Going back to what I said around the fundamental protocol, utility, if you're holding stable coins or you're holding ETH in the future, maybe if you're holding Hype or USDH or something like that, these are yields and stuff that you would be seeking to get otherwise. Whether lower risk in some of the more blue chip yield sources, or maybe higher risk in some of the more risk on ones. And we'll talk about DAO managed vaults as well today too. So there will even be something for much more sophisticated people who want to go even further out on the risk curve very soon as well. And the SUMR token is really just a little extra incentive on top to do stuff that you would already want to do. So with respect to earning the token by depositing, for me it's almost like a no-brainer, because you'd be doing that stuff anyway, and then you just, you get this token on top, which is great. Then once you get that token, it's really a question of, well, what do you want to have exposure to? And that's obviously your own decision, and you'll have to do your own diligence there. But if you actually want to hold the token, then the staking, the dual token rewards of staking and all of the different things that come with that are also, I think, very straightforward with respect to why there's a large benefit, economic benefit specifically for doing that. The third one with LPing in Aerodrome, that's where things I think get a little bit more complicated, and you should definitely do your own diligence there, or ask very much more specific questions with respect to that, because especially with a concentrated pool, it can be a little bit more tricky, requires more active management and stuff like that. So I think if you're going to do that, it's an important role to play in any token providing liquidity, but definitely I think it's the one that requires the most effort, I think, and the most focus to get the correct sort of risk reward balance. So it would definitely be not careful, but you do have to kind of have to know what you're doing on the last one. Whereas the first one, just depositing in the protocol, is just very simple and a no-brainer. Plus, you're getting a liquid token on top of that. So,
indeed, cool. Nice. Thank you, Jordan. I think that's super helpful as well. Yeah, really solid explanation there. Yeah, I think it's obviously, it's a super exciting time and so on. And we'll see what happens when it happens ultimately. I think the most important thing here is obviously we can all help grow the protocol TVL, which ultimately grows the revenues, which ultimately then should, in a somewhat rational world, obviously then fuel into obviously better tokenomics for the token, and so on. So yeah, super interesting stuff. But I think a really nice kind of segue then into what Jordan was just saying, talking about the kind of how to use the protocol, the easiest way to use the protocol and so on. That's the easiest way to earn SUMR, depositing into the vaults and so on, is then to give a quick kind of update then of what's happened last week since the last call, because we were just about to deploy onto Hyper EVM on the last community call, which is now done. And then the next major thing coming up, obviously, then is the DAO managed vaults and so on, which was a major update this morning from DeFi Nicola and Block Analytica and so on. So if we take a step backwards, then obviously last week we launched onto Hyper EVM, a really successful launch, at least in my opinion, for SUMR. It was very smooth, launching on both the USDC markets and the USDT markets. On there, they both saw some very quick growth on there, and right now, almost $5 million of deposits across those two markets, and there was broadly as well net new deposits across the board as well. We saw very few kind of outflows from one vault and one network and then bridging into this network. So that was really great to see. There were some more markets to come as well inside those both, and potentially Block Analytics can touch on maybe some of those bits coming up shortly as well. But yeah, the USDC vault 2.76 million, the USDT vault on Hyper EVM is 1.99 million right now. So really great. And actually the Hyper EVM USDC vault has actually been pretty much the highest yielding vault across the board this week in native yield. So it's currently at 5%, which is pretty solid considering kind of DeFi yields right now are really pretty low across the board. I think last night when we were looking at kind of Vaults FYI, looking at their kind of baseline yield within their analytics section here. So kind of right now, if I just kind of look at it right now, then yeah, the volts before a USD benchmark is only 4%. Right now, it's just a little bit uptick from yesterday. It's only 3.7% and so on. So yeah, at the moment, 5% plus the SUMR rewards on there at the moment, which are looking pretty tasty. Although it does also somewhat depend on what price it is that you are looking at. Nicola from Block Analytica. I don't know if you want to give a quick update potentially on some of the any potential upcoming changes to any risk parameters on Hyper EVM. I know you guys there's a few more markets deployed that currently don't have any caps set, but if you've got any updates there potentially.
Yeah, thanks. Sure. Hello everyone, Nicola here from Block Analytica. So yeah, regarding the Hyper EVM deployment, we are in the process of computing parameters for 2 new ARCs that will go to both USDC and USDT fleets, and those are Felix USDC and Felix USDT as underlying yield sources. So yeah, just a note, this is basically Felix morphovolts, not the Felix liquidity to V fork. This is something we have planned to add since the deployment of the fleets, because the risk profile is not going to be changed. Risk profile of the fleets by adding those. So yeah, those are upcoming as next. Regarding the parameters, we also may need to increase the caps on the fleet level, because as you said, Chris, we've seen a very good inflows since launch. So yeah, and regarding that also, those Felix vaults should be able to bring more capacity. So we have more options. So keepers have more options for allocation. And yeah, I think that'll be in as far as the next ones. Probably more vaults are gonna be added as well in the future, in the near future, and ideally the vaults that do not increase the current collateral exposure of those Hyper EVM fleets significantly.
Cool. Sounds good and sounds super exciting. And it's great to think that some of the yields might increase even further to what they are and stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for the great work there. And I'm gonna put you back on in 2 minutes as well, probably in 30 seconds actually, as well, because while we're kind of on the topic of kind of like updates and so on, obviously the Hyper EVM is now out, it's live, we have got some more markets coming, but that then brings us on to the next major initiative as well, that we've got from a kind of vaults and product point of view, which is the kind of down managed vaults that we've been talking about in the forum already. There was some good engagement there from some people as well on that. But yeah, Block Analytica have this morning posted, as was being discussed in the initial forum post, their proposal on effectively the risk framework to be done prior to the new vaults going live. So with obviously this framework, if you saw the original forum post, the idea here is that we have the risk managed vaults from Block Analytica, but then also potentially some down managed vaults that try and target maybe some slightly higher yields, but with preset and kind of not ongoing risk managed markets ultimately. So the idea here is that the DAO would onboard markets into these vaults, probably under maybe 3 different categories that have default values for maximum TVL and so on, and default values for liquidity requirements on the underlying markets. And the keepers will ultimately do kind of in some ways the risk management based upon live on-chain data, and so on. So what Block Analytica have proposed this morning is obviously what that risk framework can look like and so on. And instead of me speaking on behalf of them, I think, Nicola, if you can jump back in and give us a summary of what's in there, what the community can expect, and also what you're asking for. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Yeah, as you already said, we posted a proposal as a potential party that could contribute to constructing this initial set of rules that is to be used by SUMR DAO in the future when we launch those DAO managed vaults or indexed vaults to decide on the onboarding and addition of new potential yield sources. So yeah, we basically propose the scope of work, which includes creating the initial framework design, including defining those inclusion rules for new arcs, and then those type of categories for those underlying yield sources. And this is to be proposed by Block Analytica in a separate forum post if the proposal is to be accepted. So yeah, this I think that basically covers it. Yeah, I think it's very important to note, as you, Chris, said, that the risk is not going to be managed the way it is at the moment for the current publicly available vaults that are kind of risk adjusted, that are offering risk adjusted yield. So yeah, I just wanted to put an emphasis on that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like I think it's going to be extremely important that that's communicated properly. I know Jordan here has done a lot of work from a design point of view, so kind of the designs within the app to support these if they do get voted in, that very much kind of makes the actively managed vaults the default, but users that are ultimately looking for these DAO managed vaults can find them on a separate tab and so on with the relevant risk warnings and so on, that these are not actively managed, do not kind of have the same protections and so on in there from that point of view, but do come with other kind of protections in place as well. And I think as Genzi has replied to the original RFC on there as well, and put in there, obviously, like this one kind of core concept that's probably a prerequisite for these launching is obviously the decentralized guardians in place as well. So guardians being put in through the option of through a multi-sig and so on. So if anything does happen, they're at least able to step in and hit the kind of pause button on the vaults and so on. But yeah, there's a couple of things we need before they can actually go to market on these vaults. But yeah, it is super exciting to kind of see and have this stuff moving forward. And I think it's going to be a really, really big thing for what's coming next. Conscious of time, they've only got 10 minutes, but I think, technically we're another 50 minutes looking at the calendar invite actually, but I understand, probably expect some people do have to go on the hour and so on. But yeah, does anyone here have any questions on the DAO managed vaults? I know, Jordan, you've been pushing these a lot as well, but I don't know if you want to chime in with any comments at all.
I would just say, I think, it's for me, it's very it's exciting. I mean, it's higher risk. It's which comes with its own sort of drawbacks as well, and things like that. But it will be very clear that it's not for people who really want just the I think risk adjusted is the best way to say it. You have, in my opinion, the sort of best-in-class risk-adjusted yields on Lazy SUMR already. But I think at the same time, there are people who want to access higher yields in a maybe risk-adjusted manner. And I don't think there's any reason to not cater to those users and to that capital as well. And these are not also... like, you don't have to create a false dichotomy. It's not, DAO managed, yield seeking, and trying to get the best yields, or risk adjusted returns and risk adjusted yields. You can do both. So if that, in banks and credit cards and stuff like that, which is maybe a little bit of a bad example, or bad, parallel. but they talk about wallet share very adamantly with respect to their users and customers and stuff like that. And I think it's a very apt example here. If we look at the, I'm not sure if it's public, but there is some data around the Lazy Summer users, and on average, it's about 10%, 10 to 15% of the wallet that Lazy Summer captures, for lack of a better word. And I think that this is a very great tool, or a very great product or feature, however you want to frame it, to start to cater to more and serve specifically more of those users, and myself as a user as well, the wallet share, and thinking about, hey, because ultimately the highest level job that we want to serve for people is you don't have to go and searching 100 different places to get what you want. You can get all of what you want, not just find it, but have automated access to it in one place. And I think that's just one more step towards that. So instead of having to deposit in Lazy Summer and then withdraw, because the stance today, for example, from Block Analytica is risk off, which is very correct, I think, in from a risk point of view. But if you want to have a little bit of your capital a little bit more risk on for whatever reason, you should be able to do that too. And that's what DAO managed vaults are all about. So hopefully it'll be useful.
Perfect. Cool. Yeah, I'm certainly super excited, and and I think by looks things of some of the feedback and stuff in the community and stuff as well, seems to share that excitement as well at the same time. So yeah, really, really, really exciting. And I think that, again, there's no other questions on that. Obviously, there's a lot of updates and a lot of information being shared here and so on. And it's, I think, probably just good to listen into. But yeah, takes us then on to kind of away from maybe the vault, and then what else to expect, like major updates and stuff of what's coming next, ultimately. And I think one of the big things here, we kind of touched on it just a little bit earlier. We also got the liquidity management from Arcadia launching tomorrow. We heard from Thomas earlier, but then kind of following on for the rest of this week and into next week, we've then also got the VE Aero proposal as well, that was talked heavily about last week as well on the community call. But I think there's been quite a few updates and like minor changes and stuff to the proposal. And I think, Brian, if you're still here, it'd be great if you can jump in and give us a quick update on the latest of that, what's expected and so
on. Mic check. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yep. Yeah, very clearly. Yep.
Nice. So for those of us who might not have been here last week, obviously the RFC is on the forum, but we're basically proposing V-Aero meta governance. Meta governance is basically, governing another protocol through a different protocol, basically governance inception. But yeah, the goal here is to acquire a V-Aero position. This allows us to vote on the summer USDC liquidity pool. By voting on that liquidity pool, we basically give more emissions to that OP, to the liquidity pool, attracting more LPs, creating deeper liquidity, and creating better trading conditions, pretty much. So yeah, last week, I don't remember clearly what we discussed last week, but we have refined the proposal. The plan is to use about 80,000 USDC to acquire V-Aero, which will give us somewhere around 170 up to 180,000 V-Aero. And yeah, pretty much we'll be using this amount to vote on the summer USDC pool each week, attracting, aero emissions for LPs to basically provide liquidity to that pool. And this will complement the ignition launch that is about to happen, since there will be incentives for the first 2 weeks. I believe it is 3% for the first week, and then like 0.3% for the second week. So obviously some of that will be mercenary capital, and once the incentives end, it becomes a bit more difficult to attract and basically maintain liquidity providers. So yeah, the whole goal of the VAR position is to ensure that liquidity conditions stay strong for the liquidity pool. And yeah, I think this will work really well in combination with Arcadia as well. So looking forward to it. And yeah, just want to give a big shout out to the SUMR team. Not only is the protocol generating revenue, we also have a token that distributes that revenue. Honestly, utility season is coming, and I think SUMR will be, one of those tokens that really shines. So yeah, looking forward to see the proposal go live, and yeah, can't wait for eventual TGE or TTE.
Yeah, that sounds great, and likewise. And I think it feels like a really, really great time at the moment to be buying Aero. Like obviously with the market and so on, we're going to be buying it primarily USDT and stuff as well, right? And so just looking at the kind of current price, we'll be able to purchase about 175,000 Aero tokens, and so on. And then it looks like there's about a 10% discount. We'll probably be able to achieve around about a 10% discount maybe as well on if we look at it on the Vexify as well. So yeah, maybe even above that 180k now as well. So yeah, super exciting, and there'll be more updates coming to that obviously over the next few days, I think, as well. I'm not sure actually if Gen Z, maybe it's just a thumbs up you can give, but whether the STIP is potentially going live today to vote, or
I'm not sure if you guys can hear me better.
A little bit. It's still pretty similar, but yeah, go on, carry on.
So sorry for this, and thank you for holding it down, Chris. Yeah, I'm still sort of talking with Roger and Brian, and I'm hoping we can push this over for today, because then it would mean that for the next epoch of the Aero votes, we will be ready to deploy this protocol on liquidity.
Yeah, it should be, the proposal should be finalized in the next few hours. We're just rounding up some addresses for multi-circulation, and I think that's about it.
Perfect. Awesome. Really, really great work, guys. That's really awesome. So yeah, I mean, obviously then it's going to be some other things, but I said the DAO managed vaults is probably the next big thing really happening. Obviously outside of the transferability of the token. As soon as the token becomes transferable, you're going to see the app update at kind of midnight UTC tonight with the live prices. So all of the SUMR rewards will immediately switch over to the live price, and so on. Obviously we have we're in a kind of funny kind of double-edged sword in some ways with the price. If the price is lower, then the SUMR rewards obviously lower, but then the USDC yield on the SUMR staking obviously goes higher and stuff as well. And then obviously the opposite, launch of a really solid price, and obviously the yields for SUMR vaults are higher, but then it makes it look like the USDC yield on staking goes down. So yeah, it should be really exciting to see kind of where that price settles at. I suspect it won't settle in the first day or two, but yeah, so that's on there. So I want to open it up to any community questions and stuff. If anyone has any questions at all, otherwise we can leave it with a few closing thoughts, a couple of quick reminders of exactly what the timings and what to expect later tonight, and so on. Just stick your hand up if you have got any questions. Cool. Otherwise, Jency, yeah.
I'm gonna try it again. I'm basically just thinking that I'm aware of a few calls coming in. Of course, after this community call that we have. So maybe I don't know if we can just have a small overview of what next calls are upcoming, what the community can join in. I don't know if
is that some of
he has joined us.
I missed some of those words, so I didn't fully understand what it is you're asking for. Or are you sort of saying some of the calls coming up, if they have any questions? Okay, I can jump in. So some of the public calls that the community can get involved in is at 4 p.m. UTC, 5 p.m. Central European time. I'm going to get lost if I try and do American time. So 5 p.m. Central European time, 4 p.m. UTC. We've got Aerodrome Discord AMA on the in the kind of pilots chat on the Aerodrome Discord. So that's 4 p.m. UTC today. So if you're around, definitely come and join that. You can already post early questions into the Discord the Aerodrome Discord for that. We have a couple of pre-recording stuff going on as well today, so but obviously not to join live. But then tomorrow we've got a couple of live spaces as well. So we got a Twitter or X Spaces tomorrow, again with Aerodrome on there. I think with Aerodrome actually, yeah, but at 3 p.m. UTC tomorrow. So 4 p.m. Central European time, 3 p.m. tomorrow is the Summer 5 Spaces with Aerodrome and so on. Gonna be kind of, I think, hosted by Ether Raider and so on from Aerodrome. And then 2 hours after that, so 5 p.m. UTC, we have I think my calendar's a bit out of date because I've got another Aerodrome's Twitter space. So I think one of those is out of date on there. So we just need clarity on when that one's happening. And then at 5 p.m. UTC on Friday, we've also got a MEXC AMA Twitter space as well with the MEXC community on there. But look out for the announcement section. We'll put all the updates and calls and timings and so on there. And as you can see, I don't even know what time I'm meant to be in place at the moment, and there's a lot going on. If you follow the official Summer Finance _ Twitter account as well, you'll find the links and stuff to all the various recordings and different news and so on. You'll find their recordings to the Edge podcast we did earlier in the week as well, and we've got the kind of like Calculator DeFi Dojo kind of podcast recording today, which will likely go out later this evening or worst case tomorrow morning. But yeah, stay tuned. There's lots of news, there's lots of updates. Again, the really critical time that everyone should keep in mind for the next 12 hours is the Summer token transferability kickoff, which is midnight UTC, 0100 Central European time, so American evening. So perfect time unless you're kind of Singapore way, Asia way, and so on to bring a beer, bring a drink, and so on, and yeah, celebrate the launch of transferability finally on there. And again, it will start trading on MEXC at 1 a.m. and a handful of other centralized exchanges at the same time as well. But I think that is all. If there are no other questions from there, one other reminder for anybody listening in here who may have a Summer 5 Pro position is that obviously last week also, I think just before the day before the community call last week, but the announcement went up that Summer 5 Pro is being sunset, and effectively everybody can migrate and transfer over to DeFi Saver on there right now. So DeFi Saver already supports all Summer 5 Pro positions except for the Arjuna protocol positions. But if you've got any positions across any of those of Aave, Sky, Maker, Bolts, Spark, and so on, they are all available now on DeFi Saver as well. But I think the 14th of February, Summer 5 Pro will become read-only. But before then, the Summer token trading, I see the TVL during the call have been bouncing around a little bit, primarily I think with the market maybe bouncing around, but must have been some deposits coming in as well. Hopefully we can see some positive news coming out of Davos at some point. And yeah, maybe the markets react the right way for us for tonight. But if no other questions, the next time we have a community call will be with a trading Summer token. And yeah, the excitement begins in about 11 hours. So thank you all for joining. I hope, Jency, you feel much better and hopefully your internet microphone is sorted out for next time. But yeah, thank you all. Thank you, Jordan, for all of the contributions. Thank you, Brian, for the updates on the aerodrome purchase. Thank you to Thomas for the updates on the liquidity management stuff. And I know he's left already now, but Deepak Nikhil as well from Block Analytica. Thank you for the updates, both on Hyper EVM and also on the down managed bolts. And as always, thank you to Jency for actually organising the call, sharing the show notes with me to help guide me along. And yeah, we'll go from there. Thank you very much, all. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy midnight UTC, and yeah, we'll see you hopefully depositing into the Laser Protocol and growing that TVL. Take care.